Hey guys, this is going to be Ross Barnett Bassmaster Open. So this is it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a long video. I've got a lot to talk about the tournament, just what all went on. My day one, I'll start there. As you know, Ross Barnett isn't that big of a lake, and we had 225 boats on this thing, so it was going to be crowded. What I decided to do to start out on day one, I had found some fish in a popular area on the lake, and kind of my game plan going in there was, I was at least just going to try it, because I've actually gotten fortunate doing that before. You find some fish in a popular area, everybody thinks it's going to be crowded because there's 225 boats, and you get there and you're one of the people that went ahead and did it, and it's good. So what happened is it actually wasn't as crowded as I expected it to be, but it was too much to really be productive there. I got a couple bites early, and then I put two good ones in the boat, two like 2-pounders or 2.5 pounders, right around there. And that was where things went south. So my camera was screwing up on day one. I got 0 footage, and then on top of that, my bilge pump went out on my boat, and there's not really any good access to it in there. So I initially realized that it had went out because the way my boat sits, it's really heavy in the back, and a lot of times it takes water over the back when I'm taking off, and then when you put water in the live wells, it'll spill over into the back. And so just in a roundabout way, my boat was filling up with water, and I realized that it wasn't kicking it back out when I started bumping the bottom a bunch in areas that I knew that I shouldn't be, riding that shallow. And then I realized that I had a ton of water in my boat and I couldn't get it out. Couldn't get on plane. Finally got on plane, and so that's where this just like absolutely sucks in an open when you're having boat trouble like that, is that I had my other area that I was going to go to. It was also very shallow, and I didn't know if once I got back in there after I set it down one more time, because at this point I had so much water in it that it was coming over the back every time I set the boat down, because I had tons and tons of water in it. So I couldn't go in there pretty much is the gist of it, and I had some fish, that I had found really close to take off, and I was like, well, that's kind of my option here, is I'll go ahead and get close to takeoff and fish the rest of the, really just the entire rest of the day right there close to takeoff. So didn't work out. I didn't catch them down there, and so I ended up weighing, I think, 4.5 pounds or something like that on day one. Anyway, going into day two, that night, tore open the back of the boat and everything, rewired the bilge pump and all that, and got it going good to where I could go back out and do fine on day two. So obviously where I was going to go on day two is the fish that I hadn't got to fish for. So I go back out on day two with that game plan, and that's where I want to like do a lot of talking in this video and kind of show you guys the plays that you have to make when you're fishing around that many people, because there was just, it was insane, absolutely insane how packed in some of these places were. And at that point, I knew how it was going to be everywhere on the lake, unless, at least the areas that I knew of. I'm sure some people found some little tucked away areas, but this area, actually, I didn't realize I had found such a popular area until I got there on day two. I knew that it was good, and so I knew it wasn't like something nobody was going to find. But when I got there, I think it was more crowded than the area that I knew was popular that I went to on day one. But you can fish around these crowds and everything, but the main thing is you got to talk to each other, and not push in on people. And there was definitely some of that going on. And just like I said, I'm going to explain it in the video and kind of show you what I did going into this area, because I was midway through the pack on day two, boat number coming in there. And really what I did is just not go crazy in there. I really laid off of where I was going to fish for a while before I actually got the chance to go in and fish. And I'll kind of show what I did in the video. I'd talk to people and ask people where I could fish and not get in people's way, because just because it's crowded doesn't mean that you have to start cutting people off and it's just okay now. Because that's where how I feel like a lot of it gets treated sometimes, is when it gets super crowded, all of a sudden everybody thinks it's okay to fish 10 feet from each other. And you still need to be courteous and talk to each other and say where, you know, since you're the late person coming in there. But anyway, I'll show you guys how day 2 went down, and kind of my thoughts on everything and what I did. So here we go. All right. So first thing after takeoff, this is kind of where we're going to start this. If you guys can follow what I'm doing here, I'm coming in. It's kind of dark in this video. Obviously, there's already a boat here. There's boats right over here, and then actually exactly where I want to go, right to the left, or sorry, the right there, back in that area. You can probably see it right when there's a boat, and that guy right back there, and then another boat there, are sitting exactly where I want to be. So what I mean by you just kind of gotta fish around, you know, the crowds and not push in on people, is that was where I wanted to go. That was why I was there, is there was a little sweet spot back in there that I had found. But you know, it doesn't mean there's not fish in other places. I'd fished some of this in practice in different spots, and there's actually another area over here that I wanted to check out. So I went ahead there. This guy had kind of finished fishing there, and he was moving off that way. So this area right here was open, so I went ahead and moved in right here because there was nobody coming this way down the bank, and that guy had stopped. So I get out to fish. Figure I'll go ahead and fish some of these trees and stuff, go down through there, and then where I wanted to be right back in here, there's another boat that is kind of set up shop right there. So I was like, all right, whatever. Continue going back through there, and then what I end up doing, I won't walk you through this whole portion right here, but initially pretty much I wanted to be on the other side. There was also a spot over here. That spot kind of got taken pretty quick, so I end up kind of just scooting off and just fishing the outside of the pads, the little like dollar pads and stuff over here. And after that, I'll show you what I did there. But again, you know, everybody's pretty much right where I want to fish, but you got to lay off for a little bit, and it's all right to wait and see what everybody does before you go crashing in. And all right, so let me show you how I kind of navigated this side. So this is actually back now on the other side. I've came back around to the area that I was kind of wanting to start out on initially. The boat that I had kind of passed it up because of was actually still back there. This guy had moved in, so he's power poled down. I kind of came around and was starting to get the vibe that all these guys weren't moving. From the time I rounded the corner, he kept making just repeated casts to this area. So I wanted to fish this grass line, but I wanted to make sure that he wasn't about to move over here or what he was going to do. So what I did, kind of came up here, and see, I got his attention. Was kind of pointing which way, and he said he was going that way, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to fish this grass. He said, cool, gave me a thumbs up. So I continue on fishing down the grass line, and that's literally as easy as it is, guys. You come up to an area, and it's all right to talk to the people and just make sure. Like, the worst thing that happens is he says, no, you know, I'm literally about to go over that grass line. I just wanted to fish this spot real quick. And I say, all right, cool. And I go around him and fish somewhere else. It's not that hard, and it prevents everybody from having so much trouble fishing around each other. And generally, like that, you know, he's doing his own thing out there. He doesn't care. He's like, go ahead. So I go down this guy's still right there, and I realize he is still not moving at all, and really isn't. He's just like fishing this little area here and isn't really fishing the spot out here that I was wanting to fish. This guy is kind of doing his own thing over there, and I'll show you guys kind of what I was dealing with moving in, because it's not really clear in this video. If you look out to the right, so the edge of these pads all the way down, I mean, it's hard to see in this video, but there are boats. There was every bit of 30 to 40 boats, I think, scattered out down through here, all fishing the edge of these pads and stuff out here. And they're all just, I mean, right on top of each other, like just out of casting. Probably most of them
inside of each other's casting distance, but most of them through there that I could see in this spot, it got kind of tighter down there, were spread out enough at least that like you had your own area to fish, and you couldn't, you know, literally cast into the radius of another boat. But I mean, they're all power pulled down, just locked in, kind of fishing, hoping, you know, out in those areas, which I'm sure some of those guys surely had some exact spots that they were on that they meant to be on. But that really wasn't my deal. I had this little area in here that I was really wanting to fish, and this guy was close enough to it that I really didn't want to go in there. And you know, in some of those situations, you can ask and be like, "Hey, you know, do you mind if I come in and fish this spot?" But again, I didn't really want him to put him onto that, because if he had been fishing there long enough and hadn't actually fished for those, I wasn't going to go in there and tell him. I was going to let him do his thing, let it clear out. And the worst thing that happens is I don't fish that area. He starts maybe not catching them in there, and then he goes, "Man, I got to do something else. Nobody else even wants in here." And then he'll clear out of there, and I don't even have to worry about him. So I'm just taking my time, kind of fishing through some of this stuff. He turns around, and you know, like I said, isn't moving. I didn't really want to go around back behind him, and so I stop, turn around, and start heading back out this way. So this guy is now here. I had told him I was going to fish that grass line. I didn't want to pop right back out here in front of him. So he like I said, he's making this like repeated cast right in here, over and over and over the whole time that I've been there. So I kind of swing around wide, and I go to talk to him again, because I wanted to make sure I was going to come out here and kind of do the same thing for a little bit, so I could watch that area and see if the guy that I was watching would finally move out of there. So I literally come back around to him to ask him, "Hey, is it cool if I fish right here for a little bit?" And let me go up here, but you can imagine how the conversation goes. I'm pointing over here, being like, "Hey, you mind if I go that way?" He's like, "You mean like right up that way?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, go ahead." Like I said, literally still power pulled down. He doesn't care. He's got his spot right there. So I turn around to kind of stake my claim, and pretty much go right through here and wait for a second. So like I said, I really just didn't get in a rush. I went right to here, power pulled down, fished for a little bit. What you can't really see in this video, there's a really big just kind of pad field through here, just like dollar pads and stuff. But when you get back in here right by where that boat is, it's where I actually got quite a few bites in practice when I came through there. And I really didn't find much in here. Like I said, it was, you know, I'm a little bit into my morning now of fishing, not really getting any bites. The water's really calm. So when I power pulled down out here, I fished for a while, and this guy's still in there, but I'm starting to see like movement as I fished out here shortly after I power pulled down. All through here, I started seeing some bait get pushed up. Every now and then I'd see a fish hit the top, and back in there saw a couple nice like little swirls, but that guy was still, I mean, right there on top of it. Like I said, I'm not going to go in and just fish right on top of somebody, and like his coing was thrown out that way and stuff, and just not, but they really weren't catching anything, but he really wasn't right on it. So I gave it just a little bit, and then we'll get to where I actually went ahead and moved in, because that guy started to move off, and I saw kind of an opening where I could buzz right back in there and hit it. Nobody else was really getting on it, and that will be our next little section here. Alright, so we're finally going to get some things started here. So, like I said, you can kind of see them still scattered. Just boats on boats on boats scattered through here. I'm just kind of, like I said, this was not a quick process of waiting on people to move out of the area really that I wanted to be in. This guy was over there, and what I realized right here, he finally kind of broke from his area and was moving off. This whole time I'm watching bait pushing up back in through here, and I was kind of seeing some flicker there. And at this point, right before that guy moved, I was heading in to fish that again, but he started coming up this way, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll head over there. So this is the point where I'm ready to make my move and get in there because he is taking off now. So I go past him and I'm working my way right back in here, and right in here is that sweet spot I was talking about. I literally told my co-angler that I was feeling good about it because I kept seeing more and more activity as we sat there. So I was back in right there. Here's the first one that we come up on. So that's the long wait paying off, and we'll get on with the video now. Now I can just show you guys kind of how the day went on.
Alright, I'm putting mine down. I'm going to spin a bit. Need you help with it? Alright, you made me do it.
Told you. I told you.
Timing deal, huh?
Oh my gosh, that was a big one. Broke my tail. Oh no. Did you see how big that one was?
Mm-hmm.
The spinnerbait broke. He twisted it off. That could have been, that was at least 4. Oh gosh. Look at that. The head's twisted around that way, so he must have gotten a pad and just actually twisted it completely off.
Right.
Gosh dang. I needed that one.
Where are you at? Where did you go? Where did you go? Still sitting there, huh?
Still sitting there.
In that highway. Still sitting in that highway.
definitely 14.
Wow. 14?
14.
Then he decided to team up with, who was that? He's out here too. He's out here, little short kid from Strike King. Dang it.
Oh, Andrew Upshaw.
Yeah, Upshaw. Yep. Him, Upshaw, and at one point, Chalcedon.
Worst landing ever, but I'll take it. Did you see that?
Like, you had that thing like a bottle rock.
Well, I went to grab him and my rod slipped out of my hands. I don't even know why I'm measuring him, but he looks short. He's not. Okay.
Like a bottle rocket.
It's up. Yeah. I'll get my line burner out of there.
Alright, so I ended up finishing off day 2 with 11:14. It was enough to move me up another like 50 places or so in the standings after that horrible day 1. I can't really say for sure, even if I wouldn't have had boat trouble on day 1, if I would end up being able to find them again, but I can definitely say it would have helped. But you just never really want to have anything like that happen during the opens, because you can't have a bad day. And literally my first day of that entire division was a bad day. So I completely pretty much ruined that entire division all at one time. But ended up coming in at right around, I think, 100th place overall after the 2 days. But that is the end of this tournament. I've still got one on the Red River and then one on Sam Rayburn left in this division in the fall, and then I have one on Lake Hartwell that'll be the last tournament in the other division in the fall too. So pretty much done with the opens until later on this year. I'm not fishing the northern division, so I won't be fishing any this summer, and then we'll be starting back up in September. But stay tuned, I'll have plenty of videos out and everything, and we'll let me finish taking all these fish out of live well, and I'll see you guys on the next one.